Gifts from the Heart by Alexandrine Henry, new version. Gabriella filled out the withdrawal slip at the Bank of America for $1,300,000 3 days before Christmas. It was all she had. She planned to give all of it to Steve on Christmas as a surprise gift. It was all the money her beloved father left her when he passed away 3 years ago. She never told anyone about the money, not even her dear Steve. She knew she would have to show him a check. He would never believe her if she just told him. Gabriella nervously read the withdrawal slip 3 times to make sure she filled it out correctly, walked up to the window, and handed it to the bank teller. "Will this be from your savings account, Mrs. Graham?" "Yes, I want all of it withdrawn," said Gabriella. "Okay." However, when the teller saw the amount of money, she went to the bank manager's office and after about 10 minutes returned and asked, "Will a cashier's check be fine?" "Yes, please make the check out to Steve Graham," said Gabriella with determination. Gabriella knew she was doing the right thing when she said it. Steve deserved it. She calmed down and smiled, thinking of how shocked he would be when he opened his Christmas gift this year. He was such a giving and honorable man. Gabriella and Steve met when she was an undergraduate student at Georgetown University. Steve was the very first person in his family to graduate from college. He grew up poor and knew the importance of working hard. He knew how to make a small amount of money go really far. Steve graduated from Georgetown University with a degree in engineering. Gabriella loved Steve for many reasons, but the thing she loved most about him was his choice to teach disadvantaged children in D.C. public schools. After college, he could have gotten a relatively high-paying job working at a consulting firm, but instead chose to teach math at Dunbar High School. Dunbar has always been one of the worst public schools in the country, and Steve knew that, but really wanted to make a difference in a child's life. He grew up in D.C. and never forgot it. However, his desire to educate children required sacrifices in how they lived. They lived in a condo in D.C., and although she decorated it the best she could, it was a very small condo. Some of Steve's college friends took high-paying jobs that gave them expensive houses and cars. With Steve's teacher salary and Gabriella's paralegal salary, together they had just enough to pay for their condo, share a compact car, and splurge on a couple of beers on the weekends. Steve loved to teach children, but he was also an admirer of home design. On the weekends, they would drive to the countryside to look at homes. It broke Gabriella's heart to watch him walk through a mansion, admiring the architecture and knowing he would never own one. Steve worked double the hours his friends did, and yet he had little to show for it. After growing up entirely in D.C., Steve longed to travel and see new places around the world. When they were in college, he used to tell Gabriella of his plans to travel to every country in the world, especially Rome, to see the Colosseums. Now they could hardly afford to go out to dinner, much less take a trip around the world. One morning, Gabriella made her mind up to give all her inheritance to Steve. She watched him struggle for too long. Steve deserved to be the richest teacher D.C. had ever known. Gabriella put the cashier's check into her purse and got into the car. Before starting the car, she sat there wondering if she was doing the right thing. It was a lot of money. She looked around to make sure no one knew she had such a large check in her purse. She looked at her watch and realized Steve's bus might beat her home. He said he was coming home early from work to go Christmas shopping. She wanted to get home before he did to hide the check. As she turned the key in the ignition, she heard her cell phone ringing in her purse. "Gabriella?" Yes. Sorry I took long to pick up. My cell was in my purse. Honey, I'm going to be a little late for dinner. Oh, I thought you were coming home early today. Aren't you going shopping? Well, that's just it. I have a lot to do. I'm leaving work early, but when I thought about everywhere I need to go, I realized I'm going to be home late. I just didn't want you to rush home to make dinner for us, that's all. Oh, okay. Veggie tacos okay? Sounds great. I have to run now. I'll call you later. Steve hung up abruptly. Gabriella was a little concerned. The call didn't make any sense to her. Every year Steve went shopping for his parents, nieces, and nephews and got all of them gift cards from Target. As for a gift for Gabriella, it was always a book from Barnes and Noble. Each year Gabriella would open her gift and give him a huge hug, thanking him. Last year Gabriella remembered he bought her a Rachel Ray cookbook. Gabriella would automatically go on and on about how much she enjoyed Rachel Ray's cookbooks. She remembered last Christmas clearly. "This is my third one, thank you," she said. "You're welcome, Gabriella. You're such a wonderful cook," he said. Then he would open his gift. Every year she got him a gift certificate to Home Depot. Each time he knew what it was going to be, yet each time he acted surprised as he opened it. Then he gave her a huge hug, thanking her. Now I'm going to get that bathroom repainted. You'll see. It'll be like having a whole new bathroom when I'm done. Sure, I knew you wanted paint, but I didn't know what color. There's so many. Well, I'll figure out the best color for our bathroom. You're going to love it." It was a routine they acted out every year at Christmas time. Every year Gabriella wished she could give him a real gift for all he did for her and his students. Gabriella stopped daydreaming and returned to her concern about why he needed so much time for shopping this year. Both Target and Barnes and Nobles were at the mall near their home. She decided she wouldn't think about it and focus on where she would hide the check. There were 3 more days until Christmas. It had to be somewhere he wouldn't find it. When she got home, she decided to put it under the couch cushion. He would never find it there, and it would be nearby so she could keep an eye on it. They very rarely had guests over, so it would be safe for a few days. After tucking the check under the couch cushion, she sat in the living room thinking about how happy he would be once he opened the gift. He could finally buy one of the mansions he admired and couldn't have on a teacher's salary. He could take that trip to Rome that he always dreamed of visiting. He could finally buy a few clothes for himself. He only wore 3 decent shirts for teaching. His jeans were worn. His sneakers weren't even close to being white anymore. He could finally do something fun for himself during the summer. He wouldn't have to get that second job to make ends meet. Gabriella was tired of watching him struggle. This year he was finally going to get a great gift for Christmas.